Good afternoon and good morning to those that are joining us from the West Coast. Thank you so much for joining us at our second Info Consulting Lunch and Learn for 2022. We have people, thank you. We have people coming in as we'll give it a few more minutes. We have people that are joining us right now. And I'll give it a minute because I don't want to take too much of your lunch times. And as you can see on today's call, you will be able to see my lovely background in regards to where I am from. And if you get bored, you'll see a lovely view of Sydney out the back. And then you got John, Sidara, and Nipuna's just off camera. Fantastic. We'll get started. And I know I can start, I can see people coming in. So once again, thank you so much for joining us today. As mentioned, this is our second Lunch and Learn for 2022. For those that have joined us in our first Lunch and Learn and coming back, thank you also for those that are joining us for the first time and would like to have a recording of the previous Lunch and Learn at the end of the session. Please feel free to reach out and we will be able to email that to you. It was all around business process automation and also just in regards to configuration of IFS Arena pages in IFS Cloud. Now, as people are coming in, let's move on to basic housekeeping for today's session. Now, all attendees will be on mute and your cameras will be off throughout the session. As you can see on the top right hand corner, there is a chat box. Now, if you have any questions throughout the session, we will have a live Q&A at the end. So please put all your questions in the chat box. They will come to Alana, our marketing associate, and she will redirect all of those to myself. And then I will address that to today's speakers, the appropriate speakers. Also, there will be for all attendees at the end a video recording of today's session, so that will go out along with the video recording. We will have number one a email survey, so that will really benefit us in regards to improving our lunch and learn. Also, different topics that you would like to know and have discussions around in IFS Cloud. And thirdly, all the question and answers that have been raised in today's lunch and learn will also be part of the email send out. Finally, throughout the presentation today, there will be multiple polls. And as people are coming in, I'll just give you a quick sample of what those polls would look like. I just quickly whipped one together. So it should generate on your top right screen. At school, where did you sit? Were you a student that sat at the front of the classroom? Or were you a student that sat in the middle? Or were you a student that sat at the back and had his legs up and or arm folded and heads down and slept? I myself personally, I was a student that sat at the front because the teacher had to keep their eye on me. I was noted on the school report card, a chatterbox. Hence, I have this role as the MC. Fantastic. We have more people joining us today. You'll find plenty of room at the front. So as the poll says, we've got 0% for the front, but 67% have answered middle. And the polls have changed. It's increasing. 67% have answered middle and 33% have answered back. Thank you so much. So as mentioned throughout the session, there will be different poll questions that will come up according to different speakers. If you can engage, that'll be very, very helpful. Thank you so much. So let's get straight into today's agenda. Right, our speakers, I will quickly introduce you from left to right. We have Sidara, based out in the West. one of our lead consultants, Sadar, today will be sharing with you about Arena Time Clock, discovering the new capabilities around Arena Time Clock in IFS Cloud. And then in the middle, we have Nipuna in, I was about to say sunny Melbourne, but dreary Melbourne, who will be sharing and talking about the IFS Gantt chart, or the Gantt chart in IFS Cloud. And then last but not least, our wonderful managing director out of sunny Brisbane, John O'Brien, who will be going through the top 5 reasons you should upgrade to IFS Cloud. As mentioned, today's agenda, I'll share briefly about InfoConsulting and who we are, what holds dear to our hearts. Then I'll quickly hand over to Sudara, who'll talk about Arena Time Clock, and then Nipuna in regards to project, the Gantt chart, and then John O'Brien about the top 5 reasons you should upgrade to IFS Cloud. Live questions, as mentioned, for those that have just joined in the room, live questions and Q&As. There's a chat on the right-hand side of the screen. Click on the chat, and as Sanjeewa has just messaged hello, you can type greetings in there, but also any questions around the 3 topics that we'll be discussing today in today's Lunch and Learn. We'll collate that, come back to that at the end, and talk about all of the different questions. Now let's get straight into about InfoConsulting. Who we are. InfoConsulting, we're a global company. We are 1 out of 5 strategic partners of IFS. IFS has 5 strategic partners globally, and InfoConsulting is one of them. Our offices in Australia span from Perth, Melbourne, Adelaide, Brisbane, Sydney, so 5 different states. Our head office is in Poland, and we have 20 plus years in the IFS space. Currently, year to date, we have 500 plus customers. And as a business itself, we have 350 employees globally. The 2 latest additions to InfoConsulting would be InfoConsulting Germany and InfoConsulting Sri Lanka. One of our core values, and a lot of the companies that have joined us today, one of the core values that we are measured on as a business and individuals as employees is customer satisfaction. Hence, many of you that have joined today have seen our email signature. It says best experts, best technology. Why? Because we ingrain into every one of our employees in the business to be trusted advisors in what we do and what we specialize in for long-term business value relationship. Just to give you a quick Snapchat overview about the industries that we in Australia, InfoConsulting specialize in. We specialize in manufacturing, we specialize in construction, mining services, engineering also, and service management. So that's all about InfoConsulting. What I'm going to do right now is hand it straight over to Sudara to take you through a wonderful experience around Arena Time Clock. Thank you, Sudara.
Thank you, Albert. I'm sharing my screen. Hope everyone can see it by now. Well, please note that I will be turning off my camera just during the presentation to make sure that everything is streamed quite smoothly without any glitches. Okay. So today I will be walking you through Arena Time Clock. Now this is the new web-based IFS time clock introduced in IFS Cloud that captures employee attendance, information on shop floor activities, and also provides self-service functionalities. The IFS time clock has existed for a very long time in previous IFS versions as a Windows-based tool. However, what's new about Arena Time Clock in IFS Cloud is that it's platform independent with a better look and feel and much more improved configurable capabilities. If we dive deeper into its key features and their benefits, you will see that it's highly configurable and easier to customize. especially compared to earlier versions. For example, on the shop floor, your workers may be wearing gloves, which make them a little bit hard to click on small buttons on the terminals. So now you can configure the button sizes to be large in such cases. Another example is that you can have your own validation, such as disallowing early clock-ins for employees if you want to control them from clocking to work too early. If you have terminals at different sites in different time zones, let's say, using time offset, you set the time at the site, even if it's different to the database location. Being on Arena, it's platform independent, leading to faster and easy deployment with minimal training needed. And since it can be run on any device, including kiosk terminals, it reduces the need for third-party clocking terminals. The offline mode makes sure that it minimizes the potential data loss due to connectivity issues. And of course, it supports so many different data capturing modes, such as, well, basically any smart card, RFID tags, or barcodes, which make sure that the data capturing is efficient and accurate, as well as its minimal touch. Finally, it can be an all-in-one terminal solution, meaning that a single terminal can support all the functions that the time clock provides. Okay, so before going into the live demo, let me just go through some examples of terminal interfaces. So this one here, it has large buttons as well as small buttons, as you can see. And also it's more for clock in and clock out functions as well as self-service functions. The interface you see here is the look and feel a user will get if the terminal goes offline. As you can see, some buttons are grayed out. That's because those functions are not available offline. The one here is what I called an all-in-one solution. So this one here, as you can see, it has the clock in, clock out buttons, sub-service functions, as well as the shop floor operations. Whereas this one here focuses more on the shop floor operations while providing some self-service capabilities as well. Okay, so let's move on to our demonstration. Okay, so as you can see here, I have a very simple terminal mainly for the clock in, clock out and the self-service functions. And as you could see, even in my examples before, as well as the this one here, the button sizes, the colors, the background images, everything is different from one to one, which means that they're all very easily configurable. Okay, so let's say I have come into work and I'm going to clock in. So this is where you can either swipe your card or type in your employee ID. And I've clocked in. And there are a couple of self-service functions here. For example, let's say I want to take some leave next week and I would like to know my absence limit. So rather than having to go to the HR department or reaching out to my superior manager or anyone, basically I can have a look myself on what absence limits I have. So I have 42 hours remaining while I have already utilized 8 hours. So I'm all good to take leave next week. And also I can have a look at my time card and see how I've clocked in and clocked out this week and maybe previous week and so on. Like I can have a look at any point of time really. And yeah, so Now, let's say I'm going to the shop floor to start my work for the day. Now, in this case, for the demonstration purpose, I have just basically used one terminal with 2 time clocks. So I'm going to change it. So this is where you configure your time clock and your terminal. The numeric keypad I'm going to enable just to show you how that works. Okay. However, it really depends on how the company wants it. So just for demonstration, I had just one terminal with 2 time clocks, but the companies can decide if they want to have completely different terminals or whether they want to have one terminal where you have everything in the same time clock itself. It really depends. Let me have a look. Why is it? Maybe my changing didn't go through properly. Oh, yes. I think I forgot which one it was. There you go. So now you should be seeing the shop flow terminal. We would have to give it a few seconds. Okay, there you go. So this, let's say this is the terminal at the shop floor where I'm going to start work and then going straight into starting my operations for the day. So I can swipe my card or type in my ID, and then for the operations, this terminal has the list of values that would give you what operations you can perform. However, some companies may have like a barcode given for each operation. So this is where you would instead scan that barcode in. And today I'm going to be checking quality of some products. And while I'm doing it, say I've already checked 2 quantities, I can report that as well from the terminal itself. So I can either type it in, or now you can see the number pad here. So I'm just going to use that to enter the quantities. And of course, if there had been some units that are not up to the quality standards, you can scrap them as well and report it through the terminal itself. And could be that there have been some machine breakdowns, so you want to report some downtime that can be done through the terminal. So it basically provides a lot of functions relating to the shop floor activities. So once I'm done with my operation, I can stop or rather record the end of my operation. It could be due to some interruption that happened. In that case, you can give an interruption cause. But in my case, I'm just done with the operation for the day. So I'm just going to click OK and finish it off. So this brings us to the end of my little demonstration. If you have any questions, please feel free to send them in at the Q&A session. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Sudara.
Over to you, Andrew.
Thank you very much. Hope that has been insightful and very, just in regards to the interaction around Arena time clock, time tracking, letting employees come in and with either, as Sudara mentioned, with either their card or their employee number, check in, log out, and also against different activities on the shop floor, workbench, etc. Now, second poll of the day will be popping up on your screen any moment. For which operational functions in the organization would you consider using Arena time clock? I'll give you just a couple of minutes if you can go through the questions on the poll, and then we'll get straight back into Nipuna's session. Fantastic. Thank you so much. I know that some of you might still be answering and clicking. 50% said you'll use it for the recording of attendance and self-service functions. All of the above came in second at 33%, and then 17% record information on shop floor operations. Thank you. Fantastic. Now, let's get straight into the Gantt chart. I'm really excited about this in IFS Cloud. Over to you, Nipun.
Yep, thank you, Albert. Just want to do a quick sound check to see if everyone can hear me well.
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thanks again for joining our Lunch and Learn session today. My name is Nipuna Patirana, and I'll be the presenter for the next 15 minutes. During this segment of the Lunch and Learn, I'll be presenting about the Project Gantt functionality in IFS Cloud. And just like Sudhara, I'll turn off my camera during the presentation. If you have any questions, please feel free to add them to the webinar chat, and then we will answer all your questions during the Q&A session. All right, let me quickly share my presentation. Bear with me for a few seconds, everyone. The presentation should be coming up. Yeah, I believe you all can see the presentation now. Before I start with the Project Gantt functionality, let me tell you a bit about what Project Gantt is and also a bit of history. Most of you would be familiar with Gantt charts from your day-to-day work, but let me give you a really brief introduction before we dive into what IFS Cloud offers in this space. Project Gantt, in simple terms, is a bar chart that illustrates the project schedule. And this is named after Henry Gantt, who popularized the Gantt chart in early 20th century and made it a more mainstream project planning and scheduling tool. It has, of course, evolved over the years. And if you take a modern Gantt chart in any tier 1 ERP, it would show dependency relationships between activities and also status of different activities and plenty of other information, as you would see later on in the actual live demonstration. But if you really look at the simple aspects of any Gantt chart, on the vertical axis, you can see the activities to be performed, that is from your work breakdown structure. And on the horizontal axis, you can see the time intervals. And as a result of that, the width of the horizontal bars in the Gantt chart shows the duration of each activity. Now, in terms of what is so special about the Gantt chart functionality in IFS Cloud, I'm sure most of you are familiar with previous versions of IFS, such as Applications 9 and Applications 10. And you would have seen the Gantt chart even in previous versions of IFS as well. So this is not a new functionality. The Gantt chart has existed for many years in the IFS ecosystem. But then the big question is, what is new in IFS Cloud? To start with, the performance of the Gantt chart is much better in IFS Cloud. Especially if you have had previous experience working with Gantt charts in IFS, you would have realized that it is clunky at times and it can get a little slow as well, especially if you have projects with multiple sub-projects and several activities. But you won't have that issue in IFS Cloud. It is responsive, as well as it has got all the features that you need to manage your project much easier. And in terms of other improvements, I would categorize these improvements into two main groups. To start with, there are several cosmetic improvements in IFS Cloud. So this includes things like new icons, new colors, and also you can show and hide different elements within the Gantt chart that helps you declutter your Gantt chart for presentations. And also you can toggle between different time scales as well. So that is about cosmetic improvements. But if you look at functional improvements, there are so many functional improvements as well. And these functional improvements are all created or designed based on one core principle, and that is giving the project manager or the project administrator all the required functions to plan and perform or manage the project without leaving the Gantt chart screen in IFS Cloud. So in that case, you have options to create new activities or sub-projects. You can change the status of different activities and also your project, set the baseline of the project, create and edit dependencies. And there are so many other features that you can access without leaving the Gantt chart window in IFS Cloud. Right. In terms of benefits, These are some of the key benefits that you get in IFS Cloud if you are using the Gantt chart functionality. To start with, you can plan your projects much better because there are smart features like new colors and icons, and that really helps you visualize your information as well, which is the second benefit I have highlighted here. So with new features, you get access to several functions that you would generally need to plan and schedule your project, and that is all available within the IFS Cloud Gantt chart functionality. And overall, this helps you better focus on data representation, and you can also plan your presentation much better depending on the audience. For example, if you are doing a presentation to your senior leadership team, you can hide certain elements within the Gantt chart because they would be interested in a more high level view. But if you are planning or having a session with your project team members where you really need to understand the nitty-gritties, you can basically expand the Gantt chart to include all the required information. So it can be quite responsive and adaptable depending on the user case that you are working with. Right, let's dive deeper into some of these improvements. As I mentioned earlier, there are cosmetic improvements and functional improvements. Under user experience and time scale, as you can see on this slide, you can see all the cosmetic improvements. And then under project planning on this slide, you can see all the functional improvements. So let's go through these bullet points one by one and understand what IFS has introduced in IFS Cloud to really improve the Gantt chart solution. Let's start with user experience improvements. So as I mentioned earlier, you get plenty of new icons as well as new colors. As you can see on the image on this slide, there is a separate commands section where you get access to several new features. And also there are different colors representing different elements within the Gantt chart. For example, all the released activities would be in one color, all the planned activities would be in another color. Critical path is highlighted in maroon. Likewise, there are different colors representing several elements within the Gantt chart as well. You can also expand all the sub-projects and activities within the Gantt chart just by using the expand descendants icon here, which is outlined in black on this image. And this helps you basically expand the Gantt chart without having to go through individual sub-projects and activities. You can also declutter the Gantt chart by turning on and off different items based on your user requirement. You can use the legend to basically understand different colors, color themes, and then different icons, but you can also use the same legend to show and hide different elements within the Gantt chart. So it gives you a less cluttered window. Right, the last improvement in terms of cosmetic changes, in IFS Cloud, you can toggle between different time scales as well. This goes from, say, year if you are looking for a more high-level representation, but you can really zoom in on the Gantt chart and drill this down to the day, hour level as well if you want to do planning with your team members, for example. Right, let's look at some of the functional improvements or enhancements in IFS Cloud. As I mentioned earlier, everything is built with the core principle of giving the project manager or the administrator all the required features to plan and schedule the project without leaving the Gantt chart. So with this in mind, you can create new activities and also new sub-projects and even edit existing activities and sub-projects without leaving the Gantt chart. You can see some of the screenshots on this slide. There are small plus icons that give you the option of creating new activities and sub-projects. This is not the only way of creating new sub-projects and activities. There are other smart features as well. I will take you through some of these things during the live demonstration. You can also copy from an existing project or from a project template to create new projects within the Gantt chart screen. So this is where you get the option of inheriting the work breakdown structure and all the other features from your template project or the source project. You can also make status changes to your activities as well as to the project itself within the Gantt chart view. You can change from, say, if your activity is already released, you can change the activity back to replanned, for example, or complete the activity. And this can be done on the Gantt chart screen. By now, you probably think I sound like a broken record with the phrase, you can do all this without leaving the Gantt chart view. But this has been the core principle, as I said earlier, when designing the Gantt chart functionality in IFS Cloud. You can also create and edit dependencies within the Gantt chart. So these are like, finish to start dependencies, start to start dependencies. These are the relationships between different activities in your project plan. And you can set up these relationships without leaving the Gantt chart view. And then you can also delete existing dependencies as well. And once you are done with the project plan, you can also set the project baseline on the Gantt chart screen with using this downward facing arrow. Right, let's see some of these new improvements in action. Let me go to the demo environment I'm using for this session. Hopefully you all can see the demo environment. You can access the Gantt chart through multiple ways in IFS. You can come to the Gantt chart view or the project Gantt screen, search for your project ID. That would be the easiest way. But if you're already working on a project, you can easily use the Gantt command button on different project screens to navigate to the Gantt chart screen as well. Once you come to the Gantt chart screen, this is the default view you get. Let me give you a really quick tour of the different elements within this view. I'll start with the two main elements. If you look at the screen here, you can see on the left-hand side, this is the work breakdown structure of the project. You can see the project ID, and then there are several sub-projects within this, like commercials, and then also you have preliminaries, demolition works, earthworks. Likewise, there are several sub-projects, and you can also see the activities within these sub-projects as well. You may have noticed that there are items such as, say, work orders and purchase orders, project tasks, for example. I will come back to this towards the end of the presentation and tell you the purpose of these different project connections within the Gantt chart. If you move to the other side of the screen, the right-hand side, you can see the graphical view of the Gantt chart. This is where you see all the activities and their durations. These arrows represent different dependencies between your activities. If you are interested in understanding these elements, you can always refer to the legend that tells you the meaning behind all these different colors and also different icons within the Gantt chart. For example, if you look at, say, activities or the different bars within the Gantt chart, in color blue, this represents all the released activities. And if you are interested in the critical path, it would be represented in maroon, for example. Activities with exceptions are represented with an exclamation mark. All the milestones are represented with a diamond icon. So likewise, you can understand the different color coding and different icons within the Gantt chart. In addition to that, you can use the legend to show hide different elements within the Gantt chart as well. For example, if I'm not interested in seeing, say, cancelled activities, I can simply tick this off, and then the system will take out all the cancelled activities. In addition to that, you can also use the settings icon here to change different settings on the Gantt chart. So this gives you options such as show hide dependencies within the Gantt chart, changing the default timescale on the Gantt chart. Likewise, there are different settings that you can play with and really customize the Gantt chart to your liking. I'm not sure if you realize this initially, but the left-hand side of this Gantt chart is essentially a table in IFS Cloud. And you can't see some of the columns within this table, but if I move the chart to the right of the screen, you can see all these columns within the Gantt chart, and you can use the column settings section to show hide different columns. And also you can resize these columns as well, depending on the screen you are using and the audience you are working with. So you obviously have basic information about your project, but you also get some additional information such as the activity dates, progress percentages, and things like that. Right, let me drag this over so you can see the Gantt chart. Just looking at some of the options available within the Gantt chart. If you start from the project level, once you select the project, you can see all these additional command buttons up top. So this gives you the option of, say, options such as changing the status of the project. This icon is used to set the baseline. You can create sub-projects using this icon. Likewise, there are several options available on the command section. And then this changes when you select a sub-project, for example. So when you select a sub-project, you can see icons to create new activities and then also new sub-projects, for example. And then if you select an activity, you can see additional icons such as dependencies, edit activity, changing the status of different activities. So you have all these different options within the Gantt chart. But as I mentioned earlier, if you want to create a new sub-project or an activity, you can simply draw on the Gantt chart itself. For example, if I want to simply create a new activity, I can just draw on the Gantt chart, and the system will give you the option of creating the new activity. And it has also smartly identified the start date and the end date based on the drawing I did on the Gantt chart. And you can do the same thing with sub-projects as well without using the buttons to create activities. And you can also create dependencies between activities just by selecting all the activities. So in this case, I've selected these 3 activities. And if I use this arrow, you can easily create dependencies without having to go through individual activities and then just setting them up. So the basic idea is to give you all those smart features so you can plan and schedule your projects easily. Just to highlight a couple more features before I wrap this up, you can use the Gantt chart also to analyze your project as well. So this is not just a project planning and scheduling tool in IFS. This can be used to analyze your projects as well. For example, you can see most of the project connections within individual activities using the Gantt chart view. If you focus on, say, activity number 10, for example, you can see there is a work order connected to this activity. And you can use this link to navigate to the work order without having to go through the work order navigation path. And this extends to things such as, say, purchase orders as well. So in this activity, you can see there is a purchase order connected to it. And you can also see other details such as activity task, for example. So this activity has got a task connected to it, and you can see that as well. So this really helps you understand what connections are attached to different activities in IFS. And it also shows the progress of activities as well. If you look at this small, pie chart just before the activity ID, you can see a section of that is basically filled out, and this represents the progress of the activity. So system, and then if you look at activity 9, you can see it a little better here. About 30 to 40% of the activity is now completed. So you can see that on the Gantt chart view. So likewise, there are several smart features within the Gantt chart. And in summary, it really helps you plan and schedule your project and also analyze the performance of your project as well without leaving the Gantt chart view. Hopefully, this gave you a brief idea about the capabilities and new features of the Gantt chart in IFS Cloud. Feel free to ask any questions you might have using the chat function. And thank you very much for listening into the presentation.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Over to you, Albert.
Thank you so much, Nipuna. Hope this has been extremely helpful in regards to IFS Gantt chart in organizing projects, improving overall project visibility, and keeping everyone within your business on track. As mentioned, we will have a third poll question. It'll pop up on your right. There we go. Do you use Gantt chart to plan and schedule projects in your organization? First question is yes, we use Gantt chart functionality in IFS. Yes, we use Gantt chart. Done outside of IFS? No, we do not use Gantt charts. I think whilst I'm waiting, we should also have a poll next time, John, just to see what's the weather like in where you're from.
Weather's beautiful today, Albert. It's a cool 21 degrees, partly sunny. There you go.
Sydney is very cold. Thank you so much. Excellent. 60% have said yes, we use Gantt chart, but done outside of IFS, and 40% have said no, we do not use Gantt charts. Now, over to you, John O'Brien. Top 5 reasons why you should consider upgrading to IFS Cloud. Thank you, John.
Cheers, Albert. Thanks very much, and a very good morning or a afternoon to everyone on today's call. It's great to see so many attendees on our second lunch and learn for the year. It gives us some really good feedback that these sessions are informative, and we hope the information that we also provide can be used back in your business, which is a really good segue, I guess, into presenting what I'll be talking about for the next 10 minutes, which is around the top 5 reasons why your business should consider upgrading to IFS Cloud. Now, little bit of a disclaimer to start with. These are actually my personal top 5 reasons in no particular order, and it's based on my experience working with clients and my knowledge of IFS Cloud. What I'm about to present is intended to challenge your thought process around what value or benefits you can achieve from IFS Cloud. You may already have a preconceived idea that your business isn't interested in upgrading because it's way too costly, or you can't see what the return would be. So I really want the next 10 minutes to be a bit of a challenger for you into thinking what you could actually be achieving in your organization. And those that are going to IFS Unleashed next month, it's going to be a massive showcase of IFS Cloud ideas, new experiences, world-class training, meeting industry experts and knowledge sharing. So it's not too late to get a ticket if you're keen. When we look at the roles we play in our business, part of what we do is to be really a champion for change in our organization. And change really is about digital transformation, adoption and the journey. I'm sure you see it in your job every day, those business processes or functions that are clunky and they need addressing. But you know it's a massive process to drive that change, and sometimes it's easy just to focus on something else. This is where we really need to be that champion and challenge those things in the business. Show how you think it could be done more efficiently and the cost efficiencies that you could also achieve out of it. So I hope my top 5 reasons to upgrade really challenges you to drive that change in your business. So number 1 on my top 5 list is all around return on investment, which is a really interesting point to understand. If you purchased IFS and your licenses, say, plus 5 years ago, you've probably written off that initial investment by now, which you know really your ROI is now quite minimal. Additionally, you also have to consider that annual maintenance support agreement with IFS, and that's something that you're paying year in, year out. Good question to ask everyone. Are you aware of how much you pay in maintenance support each year? I need to call this out because if you're running older versions of IFS, like applications 8 or 9, you're actually getting zero value out of that maintenance support fee. Your product is no longer part of mainstream support by IFS. So if you have an older version of IFS, how can you actually drive innovation and growth in your business? Number 2 is all around the evergreen philosophy, and it's really important approach that clients should consider. My analogy of evergreen is like planting a tree in your front yard. You want something that looks green and fresh all year round, and hopefully doesn't create too much work for you, like losing all its leaves during autumn. So IFS Evergreen is very similar. It keeps you on that path to having an enterprise software solution that's always updated and doesn't require costly upgrades every couple of years. The new release program of IFS Cloud includes 2 major releases at the start and at the end of every year. And it gives you the ability within your own IFS Cloud build place to proactively manage and enable those new features if and when you're ready. The biggest positive here is gone are those hefty upgrade costs. So your security updates and patches are now released and deployed monthly. As I mentioned, I think Evergreen is a really good model and a positive shift by IFS. It's very similar to other software products we use, such as Office 365. You know, when Outlook and Word updates, you really don't know, apart from sometimes having to restart the app. So this is a positive approach to drive growth and innovation. All those features like servitization, cloud strategies, Industry 4.0 initiatives, such as IoT, AI, digital twins, etc. They're already included in IFS Cloud, and they're available to put you on the front foot in your business. Number 3 is all about the new user experience in IFS Cloud, which is called IFS Arena. And you've seen it just in the presentations by Sadara and Nipuna. You can see how easy Arena is to use. It's a full HTML5 user interface that allows you to log into IFS Cloud on virtually any device. It's simple to deploy, and most importantly, it's simple to use and adopt in your business. As we know, change management in any project, especially an upgrade, is a big factor to consider. And Arena's new user interface makes it much easier to adopt and to train and upskill. So gone are the days of the old right mouse button that we all used to. Everything is quite easily laid out. Number 4 is around, and this is particularly for any technical people on today's call, it's all around the new open architecture and the RESTful APIs. So you'll be excited to know that this is 100% embedded in IFS Cloud. So the OData RESTful APIs are now a standard for today and definitely into the future. So at the moment, there's over 5,000 connection types available out of the box, and with some specific applications that I've just listed here on the slide. We found that APIs are quite easy to use. Pujani, one of our business consultants, built a finance API connector from IFS Cloud into the Xero accounting platform. It was a bit of a proof of concept for a client that wanted to know how you could do it, and we were able to achieve that in literally a couple of hours. And number 5, last of my list, is the risk you're currently exposing to your business. So now I'm sure you're thinking that, that on today's webinar, you might be sitting back and thinking, well, what is the risk? We've been running IFS for years, haven't had any issues at all. And if that's your thinking, that's fair enough. I guess you're okay to manage what I call what if in your business. Unsupported software products from an external audit and compliance perspective always raise big red flags from a risk viewpoint. And let's not remember back in April of this year with the reported security vulnerabilities that were found in the Oracle WebLogic product. So it was a potential to be hacked externally. While a fix was released and fast-tracked definitely for Apps 10 and IFS Cloud customers, if you're still on Apps 8, you won't receive a patch or a fix because your Oracle version is no longer supported. So things like this are a big potential risk to the business. So recommendation here is stay on that latest version update, or even better, move to IFS Cloud and be immediately covered. And I guess that leads to my last question here in green. What's actually holding you back? It could be a significant hindrance to your business in growing over the long term. So the next 2 slides might help you answer some more questions about what your approach you should take. And around the upgrade options, we've got a bit of a simple explanation here. It's 2 options, as you can see on the screen, to reach what we call Nirvana or IFS Cloud. So option 1 is a 2-step approach. It's all about the first step, moving to IFS Applications 10, which is still supported by IFS until March 2025. You can keep all your configs, interfaces, mods, and then you can slowly start to adopt the new Arena client and move any complex interfaces and APIs across. So that's right, Arena and Enterprise Explorer are both embedded in Apps 10. So you can start to move your users across to utilizing Arena over time. And then the second step is obviously taking the move from IFS Applications 10 up to IFS Cloud. Or option 2 is a 1-step approach, moving from your existing Apps 9 or 10 or 8 solution straight to IFS Cloud. It is a larger task compared to, say, moving to 10, but for customers that have minimal mods and interfaces, this is definitely the preferred approach. We found that moving users across to Arena, it does have an increased change management effort, but it's definitely quicker to adopt the new user experience in Arena. Or maybe this slide might be, and table might be of use for you as well. So you can ask these questions in your business and then decide what do you think is the best approach to take. And finally, why engage with InfoConsulting to help you in your upgrade journey? As the only platinum partner here in Australia, I think we bring all the skills and experience you need for such an engagement. It's not just a technical upgrade, you also need to consider a lot of the functional consulting skills and knowledge that are acquired through the upgrade process. So when considering the best partner to engage with, keep this in mind. Ensure they have a functional team based here in Australia to support you. Using the IFS tools and methodology, we've also put together an upgrade assessment program to help guide you through the upgrade process. You need to understand the costs that will be around the upgrade, and how do you build a business case to justify the spend within your business. So if you want to engage with us, we can definitely take you through the upgrade assessment journey and do that business value assessment for you. So out of that, you'll get the to-be analysis that we've defined for you. You've got a clear scope. You understand the upgrade timeline. You've got confirmed costs, and then you've got everything that you need to prepare the business for your upgrade case. So if you'd like to have a chat about what approach you should take, or any specific questions you have, please reach out. We're more than happy to help. And on that point, I hope I haven't created too many questions. Hopefully I've answered them all, and I'll hand back to Albert. Thanks, Albert.
Thanks very much, John. Thank you very much. So hope that John's 5 opinions about top reasons you should upgrade to IFS Cloud, ROI, the evergreen path, new user interface and experience, open architecture. I hope that has covered a lot of questions that you had in your mind. Final poll for the day. Let's shoot that up. Are you considering an upgrade to IFS Cloud? Yes, no, maybe. I like how it's moving up and down on live. It looks like the elections.
There's a few maybes there,
Yes.
Albert. We'll have to have a chat, and maybe the top 5 reasons weren't enough.
Maybe you need to expand that. Thank you so much. 38% said yes, and there has, as John mentioned, number 1 horse in the race was maybe 63%. Thank you so much. If you are on the maybe fence, more than, as John mentioned, more than happy to have a chat with you and discuss just in regards to your business and the potentials of an upgrade, or maybe not. Right. We're drawing close to the end of the lunch and learn. We have now the Q&A session. We have actually quite a few questions, and I'm going to read the first question. Sorry, bad eyesight, so you might see. Don't get scared if my face goes into the camera all of a sudden. First question, can the system be configured to report hours to project activities directly from the Arena time clock? I think this is for you, Sadara. I'll read it one more time. Can the system be configured to report hours to project activities directly from the Arena time clock?
Well, actually, no, because the time clock is IFS has provided the time clock mainly for time and attendance, which is like the HR side of time reporting, and the shop floor operations. So the job bars goes in from the shop floor operations, but it has not covered the project activities at the moment.
Thank you so much. I hope that has answered the question. Next question. I think this is for you, Nipuna. Can you add shop orders to the project Gantt?
Yep, you can, Albert. It depends on whether your shop orders are connected to a project activity or not. But if your shop order is pegged to a project activity, it will definitely be possible to add them to the project Gantt.
Thank you so much. Regarding time clocks, configurations mentioned in the demo, such as changing of layout, can these be done in-house by customers? Oh, sorry, I'll read that one more time. I think this is for you, Sadara. Regarding time clocks, configurations mentioned in the demo, such as changing of layout, can these be done in-house by customers?
Yes, well, it depends on the user permissions, I would say. So you would need someone like would say, a system expert. If you have someone in-house, yes, you can do that yourself.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Third question, regarding project Gantt charts, is there any functionality to export data into Excel? I think this is for you, Nupuna.
Yes, I'll take that, Albert. Thank you. It's a very good question. It's a very timely question as well, because IFS just recently released the MS Projects add-on for IFS Cloud. I believe it's available from 22R1 release 4. It will certainly be available in the main system from 22R2, but it is available even today. So as long as you've got the MS Projects add-on installed, then you can easily export and import your project Gantt using the MS Project add-on. So you can even make changes in MS Project and then write data back to IFS through the add-on as well. So yeah, it is possible. It is not exactly Excel, but it can be exported and imported outside IFS and then obviously, brought back into IFS through the MS Project add-on.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. One more question in regards to Arena time clock. If there are time reported from locations with different time zones, can there be offsets configured to project reporting? That's for you, Sudhara. If there are time reported from locations with different time zones, can there be offsets configured to project reporting?
Well, because it's basically the project reporting bit. That's the only thing that's not there. So if I just answer for the other bit of the question, yes, because it depends on the site time offset. So as long as you have the offset set up in different sites on IFS, then yes, that would correspond with the time clock time offset as well.
Thank you so much. I hope that has answered the question. I know that the previous question overlapped in regards to project activities and project reporting. I think we've got time for one more. I think this is for you, John. How difficult is it for users of IFS to adopt the new user interface in IFS Arena?
Yeah, good question, Albert. I think what we've seen is that it isn't a complex process. Even if I look at it from myself, I convinced myself how to use Arena to use CRM, and it's quite simple. Even though I knew how to use Enterprise Explorer, I personally don't think it's a major issue for organisations, and we've certainly seen it in the engagements we've done with clients that it really is quite a seamless process that you can get them to adopt to Arena compared to Enterprise Explorer. As I said, no need for the right mouse button anymore. It's very easily laid out, and we've been showing that today.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I think that's it for today. If there are any other questions in regards to today's Lunch and Learn, please email them through. Happy to put answers against those questions. If you have any further questions around today's presentation, IFS upgrade, Arena time clock, the Gantt chart, you have John's details there on the screen and my details there on the screen. Feel free to reach out at any time. Give us a call on our mobiles or through email. Once again, thank you so much for taking time out of your lunch today. Have a wonderful week on the first week of spring. Thank you all from us at InfoConsulting. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.